Thank you for joining us for the Potential Candidate Information Session. Please note this presentation is a high-level resource and is for convenience only. As a candidate, you are required to review regulations and obtain legal advice for full obligations and responsibilities under the Local Authorities Election Act. My name is Samantha Rodwell, and I'm the Returning Officer for the City of Red Deer, Red Deer Public School Division, and Red Deer Catholic Separate School Division. As Returning Officer, I have several responsibilities that are listed throughout the Local Authorities Election Act. Some of my responsibilities include being independent and impartial while performing all official duties, to ensure that the election is conducted in such a manner that it is transparent and fair, and to oversee all aspects of the election. The main source of information for the 2021 election is our elections website, elections.reddeer.ca. In this session, we will review key dates, nomination process, campaign contributions, third-party advertising, and candidate communications processes. With that, let's dig in. Key dates for the 2021 election include the following. The nomination period. The nomination period runs from January 1st, 2021 until noon on September 20th, 2021. During this time period, candidates are able to submit their nomination papers to officially become a candidate for election. The campaign period. The campaign period runs from January 1st, 2021 until December 31st, 2021. This period extends past the nomination period to allow candidates with the opportunity to raise funds to eliminate any deficit that they may have occurred during the campaign period. In an election year, a person cannot accept any contributions until they file their nomination papers to become a candidate. The final day to withdraw nominations is noon on September 21st, 2021. Election Day. Election Day for the 2021 election is October 18th, 2021. The campaign disclosure statement deadline is March 1st, 2022. By this date, all candidates must have submitted their disclosure statements, which are available on elections.reddeer.ca. In past elections, the returning officer was only able to accept nominations on nomination day. Following changes to the Local Authorities Election Act, nominations can be accepted at any point during the nomination period, from January 1st, 2021 until noon on nomination day, Monday, September 20th, 2021. We will discuss in greater detail the nomination process. There are specific criteria that individuals who are interested in becoming a candidate must meet. It is the responsibility of the candidate to make sure they meet the eligibility requirements. If candidates do not meet the eligibility requirements, they may be disqualified from running for office, and if successful in the election, they may be removed from office. The criteria is outlined in the Local Authorities Election Act. To be eligible to become a candidate for the 2021 election, you must be at least 18 years of age, a Canadian citizen, a resident of the local jurisdiction for 6 consecutive months preceding nomination day. For example, in order to run as a councillor or mayor or public school trustee within the City of Red Deer, you must be 18 years of age, a Canadian citizen, and reside within the City of Red Deer as of March 20th, 2021. If you're interested in running for Catholic school trustee, you must be 18 years of age, a Canadian citizen, and you must live within the ward that you are running for as of March 20th, 2021. The 3 wards for the Catholic Separate School Division are Highway 11 Ward, Red Deer Area Ward, and QE2 Ward. It is the responsibility of the candidate to make sure that they learn more about the office that they're interested in running for. The city's election website, elections.reddeer.ca, has several resources to introduce you to the office of mayor, councillor, and school trustee. The elections website has several resources that are available to prospective candidates. Resources include links to website to provide more information, the legislation governing each office, and a candidate handbook, which is a document that provides you with centralized information about the responsibilities and duties of councillors, mayor, school trustees, their remuneration, how to become a candidate, and voter information. It is highly recommended that prospective candidates review these resources, which are available on elections.reddeer.ca. All candidates are required to complete and file with the returning officer Form 4, Nomination Paper and Candidate's Acceptance, and Form 5, Candidate Financial Information. These forms must be filed with the returning officer before noon on September 20th, 2021. As I mentioned, all candidates must complete and file Form 4 to be considered an official candidate for the 2021 election. The returning officer will only accept the official nomination paper forms. The correct forms are available on elections.reddeer.ca. If you require a printed copy, you can contact our office at elections@reddeer.ca and we can mail a printed form to you. There are 6 different nomination forms for each office that we are handling election forms. In the top right-hand corner of each form is a letter corresponding with a form for that office. Office of the Mayor is symbolized with an M. Office of Councillor is symbolized with a C. Office of Trustee for Red Deer Public School Division has PT. Office of Trustee for Red Deer Catholic Separate School Division, Highway 11 Ward, has CTHWY11. Office of Trustee for Red Deer Catholic Separate School Division, Red Deer Area Ward, has CTRD. Office of Trustee for Red Deer Catholic Separate School Division, QE2 Ward, has CTQE2. Please ensure that you use the form that applies for the position that you are seeking election for. Once you have the proper form, you can complete the candidate's information. You must use your legal name and it must match your government-issued photo ID. You must collect signatures from eligible voters before filing your nomination form with the returning officer. All candidates, regardless of the office that they're running for, must collect a minimum of 5 signatures. We always recommend that you get more than 5 signatures in case one of the people who signed your form does not meet the legislated requirement. Residents who sign your nomination form must meet the requirements of Section 27 and 47 of the Local Authorities Election Act. For school trustee nomination forms, the residents who sign your nomination form must also meet the requirements of Section 4, Subsection 4, and Section 74 of the Education Act. Let's learn more about these requirements. Section 47 of the Local Authorities Election Act requires residents who are signing your nomination forms to be at least 18 years of age, a Canadian citizen, and they must reside in Alberta, and their residence must be in the local jurisdiction on election day. Section 27 tells us more information about this. Section 27 requires that the person signing a candidate's nomination forms must be a resident of the local jurisdiction on the date of signing the nomination. For example, if you're running as a councillor in the city of Red Deer and you have a friend who lives in Penhold but will be moving to Red Deer, they cannot sign your nomination papers until they've officially moved to Red Deer. For school trustees, in addition to the previous requirements, the residents signing their nomination forms must also meet the requirements of the Education Act Section 4, Subsection 4, and 74. These sections can be quite complicated. In essence, what they say is that where a separate school district is established, an individual residing within the boundaries of the separate school district is a resident of the separate school division if the individual declares that they are of the same faith as those who established the separate school district, whether Protestant or Roman Catholic. If you have questions about someone's eligibility to sign your nomination forms, please contact the returning officer. It is essential that you as a candidate read, understand, and complete each of the required sections of this form. By submitting a completed nomination form, you are confirming that you are eligible to be a candidate, you will accept the office if elected, you have read the sections of the Act as contained in the form, you will follow Council Code of Conduct if elected, all of the individuals who signed your nomination form are eligible to vote in the election, you may appoint one official agent, but this is not required, and you may change your official agent once appointed. You must also provide how you want your name to appear on the ballot. Your name as it appears on the ballot does not have to match your legal name. However, the name on the ballot cannot include symbols such as emojis or special characters, or titles such as Mr., Miss, or Doctor. The final section of the nomination form requires your signature. Do not complete this section until you have your meeting with the Commissioner of Oaths or the returning officer. You will complete this signature in their presence, and they will ask you to swear or affirm that the contents of your nomination paper are true. Your signature is part of the commissioning process. Please note that changes, even minor corrections, cannot be made to the form once it is signed and commissioned. If the form has not been commissioned, you may cross out and change information to correct it. If you are planning on mailing or sending your nomination forms to the returning officer, you must have the commission part of the form completed by a Commissioner of Oaths in and for the province of Alberta, and the form must be signed by the candidate. If the returning officer receives your nomination form by mail and this section is not completed, the returning officer will not be able to accept your nomination form because it is incomplete. You can set up an appointment with the returning officer to review your nomination form and to complete the signature section of the form. We hope that this information helps you complete your Form 4. In addition to filing your Form 4, all candidates must file their Form 5 with the returning officer. To make sure that you don't forget to submit your Form 5, it is recommended that you file this form at the same time that you file your Form 4. You must submit an updated Form 5 whenever you make changes to your information that you've provided on this form. You can submit a changed Form 5 to elections@reddeer.ca within 48 hours of making a change. The correct forms are available on elections.reddeer.ca, or if you require printed copies, please contact our office at elections@reddeer.ca and we can mail printed forms to you. Just like Form 4, there are 6 different forms for each individual office. The initial of the office is located in the top right-hand corner. Use the correct Form 5 that applies for the position you are seeking election for. Next, you will complete the address where the candidate records are maintained. Records can include things like expense records and contribution records. Make sure that you enter the full address or addresses of the locations where you will keep your candidate records. The address must include the postal code. This can be a residential address or the location of your campaign office or both. Official correspondence regarding the election process will be sent to this address. You must provide at least one address. The last part of the form speaks to financial institutions. This section does not need to be completed when you submit your Form 5 if you have not yet opened a campaign bank account. If you haven't opened a campaign bank account but you intend to, you can submit a revised Form 5 to elections@reddeer.ca within 48 hours of opening your account. You might also be wondering when to open a bank account. As defined in the Local Authorities Election Act, you must open a bank account as soon as possible after the total amount of contributions you receive exceeds $1,000, including self-funded contributions. The campaign account must be in the name of the candidate or the candidate's election campaign. This is a campaign account where all contributions of money are deposited into. Money in the campaign account can only be used for the payment of campaign expenses. Do not use your personal bank accounts for campaign purposes. It is recommended that you keep your personal household finances and your election finances separate from each other. After you've checked the eligibility requirements, learned about your office, and completed your Form 4 and Form 5, you're ready to file your nomination papers. As mentioned, you may file your nomination papers anytime between January 1st and noon on nomination day, which is Monday, September 20th, 2021. There is no deposit required for filing your nomination papers. The returning officer only requires Form 4 and Form 5 to be filled out and turned into them by noon on September 20th, 2021. If you're ready to file your nomination papers, you can do so by booking an appointment with the returning officer. To book an appointment, please email us at elections@reddeer.ca. If a commissioner of oaths in and for the province of Alberta has commissioned your nomination form, you can mail your nomination form to the City of Red Deer, courier it, or drop it off in one of the drop boxes located at either of the main entrances to City Hall within the City of Red Deer. Campaign contributions. Campaign contribution rules are outlined in Part 5.1 of the Local Authorities Election Act. The Act has changed since 2017, including rules related to campaign funds and limits. Campaign contributions aren't just money. A contribution is something that is given to a candidate to support their campaign. Contributions include things like letting a candidate use a property, a friend providing catering services to a candidate's fundraising event, e-transfer, and in-kind services. As we are in an election year, only candidates who have filed their nomination papers can accept contributions. Contributors must meet criteria outlined in the Local Authorities Election Act. A contributor must be an individual who lives in the province of Alberta. Contributors cannot be trade unions, corporations, or charities. A candidate must open a campaign bank account as soon as possible after the total amount of contributions received exceeds $1,000. These contributions can be self-funded or from individuals. Candidates can self-fund up to $10,000 during a campaign period. Individuals must be eligible to make campaign contributions. Individuals can support an unlimited number of candidates. For each candidate, an individual can contribute up to $5,000 during the campaign period. Candidates are not obligated to accept contributions. They can use their discretion to determine whether or not they choose to accept a contribution. Candidates are required by the Local Authorities Election Act to provide a receipt for every contribution accepted. The receipt must include the date, name of the candidate or campaign, name of the contributor, amount of the contribution. If the contribution was an in-kind service, a value must be assigned for the service. Lastly, it must include the type of contribution. Candidates are also required to retain a receipt for every incurred expense. These financial records are kept at the address where the candidate provided on their Form 5. These records will assist the candidate when preparing their campaign disclosure and financial statement that must be filed with the returning officer by March 1st, 2022. The candidate must retain their financial records for 3 years after the date they filed their disclosure statements. For more information, visit the Local Authorities Election Act or elections.reddeer.ca. Third-party advertising is a new section of the Local Authorities Election Act for the 2021 election. This information is contained in Part 8 of the Act. A third-party advertiser can be a person, a group, or a corporation that is interested in advertising during a municipal or school board election to oppose or promote a candidate or take a position on an issue that a candidate is associated with. Election advertising by third-party advertisers occurs through the transmission of messages to the public by any means during an election advertising period. Election advertising period begins on May 1st, 2021 and concludes on October 18th, 2021. I know we've talked about many different timelines and dates, and third-party advertisers do have their own timelines. As a candidate, please recognize that this is completely different than your personal campaign. Your campaign period is from January 1st to December 31st, 2021. Third-party advertising begins on May 1st and concludes on October 18th, 2021. If a person, group, or corporation approaches you and states that they're interested in promoting you as a candidate, you will need to direct them to Part 8 of the Local Authorities Election Act regarding third-party advertising. Election candidates frequently pose questions to the City and School Division regarding information to inform their campaigns and to better understand the local jurisdiction. In order to ensure equitable sharing of information, when the returning officer responds to these requests, the response is provided to all candidates to ensure everyone has the same information. Routine responses relate to information that we deem to be routinely releasable. If a candidate requests information that is not routinely releasable or would require more than 2 hours in research and response development, it will be forwarded to the Access and Privacy Coordinator. The Access and Privacy Coordinator will make a recommendation for you to submit either a FOIP request or an information request. Applicable fees for retrieval of this information will apply. If you wish to opt out of candidate communications, please contact the returning officer at 403-342-8132 or email elections@reddeer.ca. If you have questions, comments, or concerns regarding the 2021 election, please feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information can always be found at elections.reddeer.ca. We look forward to being in contact with you and to receiving your nomination papers.